So thanks so much, everybody, for tuning in for today's session, social media platforms for commercial real estate. And I'm really excited to have Jennifer from our Royal LePage Commercial team deliver this webinar. I'll talk a little bit about her, but first, my side of things. So I do encourage you, as we're on the webinar, chat and ask questions. If you haven't, take a second to introduce yourself, where you're from. Feel free to chat amongst each other. A lot of you have a lot of commercial experience, and we love seeing that. If you have questions, type them in the chat, and we'll answer those questions near the end of the webinar. And at the same time, I do remind everybody that this webinar is recorded as we speak. So you could actually pause this live. You could rejoin it whenever you need and rewatch this. These webinars are part of Royal LePage's promise to you. And Royal LePage's promise to you is that we will help you maximize your earning potential by providing you with powerful business tools, access to leads and referral, and training for all stages of your career that builds your skills and fills your sales pipeline. And I'm really excited to have the commercial team on, because they were really excited to deliver a webinar, and something that was beyond just the Royal LePage commercial group, something that reached a bigger audience of people who look to tap into the commercial real estate market. And that ties into our sales success webinar series that we do on a monthly basis, where we want to enhance your sales development, learn from industry experts, and have subjects that reflect what is happening in real estate right now. So you can find more about these on RLP Network under the training section and webinar training. You can find past to this, we have a full day and a half of content for you to check that out. So if you want to go check that out, you can. And we have another webinar coming up next month with Chris Leader, which will be equally exciting, and you'll get the details soon enough. And that said, I don't want to take up much time. I want to kick things over to Jennifer. Now, Jennifer is our Research and Marketing Operations Manager for Royal LePage Commercial. She has over 25 years of commercial real estate experience in marketing, investment sales, and industrial sales and leasing. She has a breadth of knowledge really unmatched in the industry. And that's because she's marketed and underwritten over $1.5 billion in investment properties, and is a sales representative in industrial sales and leasing transactions worth over $20 million. I was like, that's pretty awesome. She's also raised over $28 million as project manager in an asset disposition program for Coca-Cola Beverages Limited. You can tell I'm reading that part, but I wanted to make sure I get the details right. She led the acquisition and design build of the new state-of-the-art bottling facility in the city of Brampton out here in the GTA. So perhaps I see a lot of people from the GTA. Perhaps some of you have gone by there. So know that Jennifer, who is running this webinar, was a critical person to getting that all set up. So with that said, I'll kick it over to you.
Well, happy Wednesday, everybody, and thanks for joining us on this lovely summer day to learn more about the social media platform LinkedIn. Today we're going to explore the 5 W's of LinkedIn. What is LinkedIn? Who is on LinkedIn? Where LinkedIn fits into the social media stratosphere? Why is LinkedIn an important part of your social media strategy? And when LinkedIn is most active for getting your posts noticed. So let's start off with what is LinkedIn. According to LinkedIn.ca, the platform helps you, and I'll quote, manage your professional identity, build and engage your professional network, access knowledge, insights, and opportunities. And that's a pretty big promise. That's out of quotes. Let's see if we can help you discover some of the gems of LinkedIn. So in order to be used to be that in back of the day, you just throw your resume up on LinkedIn and you'd wait for the invites to pour in, and from people all over your professional network. So you didn't really do much with it. There wasn't really anything to do. People could search for you, they could invite you, they could send you messages via InMail, that type of thing. But there wasn't really a social aspect to LinkedIn. If you happen to change jobs, cities, titles, or positions, you might have remembered maybe from 6 months to a year to update your LinkedIn profile into the new position. Hey, after all, you were busy. Well, times are changing. Today there are over 500 million LinkedIn users from all over the world. After the US, India, Brazil, and Great Britain, Canada has the highest number of LinkedIn users, and over 70% overall are from outside of the US of A. LinkedIn is an equal opportunity social media platform with 57% users who are male and 44% users who are female. And the average income comes out to about $75,000 per annum. So you can find almost anyone, anywhere in the world, by conducting searches in a variety of ways. Basic searches are offered in the free LinkedIn version. Most targeted searches that can involve a wide variety of filters and criteria to narrow down your results, in this case, data werewolves, are available on LinkedIn Premium for a monthly fee. We can talk about the LinkedIn Premium a little later in the webinar, but for now you should know and be aware that that's an option that's available to you. So of the over 500 million LinkedIn users, half of those are active on LinkedIn. Of which 40% are active on a daily basis. By active, we mean those members posting articles, updating profiles, messaging people within their network, reaching out and making new connections, searching for opportunities and jobs, liking or commenting or posting of others, etc. Of that 40% users, most are averaging about 17 minutes per month on LinkedIn, and that's really not a huge time commitment for most of us. And there are an astounding 2 new LinkedIn users every second of every day, with over 39 million students and recent graduates eager to make their mark on the LinkedIn to kickstart their careers. And just to let you know, while I was looking up the stats for LinkedIn, the word motivated was the most overused word on LinkedIn in 2018. So if you have a profile up and running, you may want to dust off that old Roget's thesaurus and come up with some alternatives so that you are not one of those people. As we leave the stats behind, I should mention that the source of this material came from the website www.omnicoreagency.com, and it is posted on these slides so you can access that yourself. But Omnicore tracks stats on all the social media platforms. So if you're interested in exploring Twitter or Pinterest or others, you can access more information here.
Jennifer, just to add on to that, I just posted a link to that in the chat as well. So
super, thank you very much.
I got you back.
I can tell, that's great. So let's say you've attended the real estate forum and you've collected a number of business cards, garnered from a wide variety of people you had great conversations with. You can't wait to find out more about John Doe, so you look him up on LinkedIn. This is John Doe. He's a big question mark. He told you he specialized in industrial sales and leasing and has worked with a number of Fortune 500 clients over a career spanning 10 years. Really? Don't be a John Doe. Be Oprah. Or maybe be just a little bit more like me, but only in the sense of your LinkedIn approach to the world. So now I'm just going to switch over and I'm going to take you to my LinkedIn page. Okay, so your LinkedIn page can have as much or as little information about you and your career as you would like, but why would you not want more? In this extremely competitive real estate market, potential investors, buyers, and sellers of commercial properties are looking for solid track records of experience that proves you can do what you say you can do. Don't be the guy or gal with the sad LinkedIn page. For me personally, I find the site easy to navigate and fairly intuitive, but that's just me. If you can't figure out how to do something on LinkedIn, Google is just a few keystrokes away. When you ask Google a question, how do I find blank on LinkedIn? The LinkedIn Help Center usually pops up as one of the first references to go to. There are also a number of online forums, websites, and resources that can also help you navigate the site and find solutions for you. So I just went and I asked a specific question of of Google, and these are the results that it brought me. And so what I did is I then went to this page and I asked the specific question, and it gave me all the answers. So as you can see, Google is an extremely good resource, and of course LinkedIn has a number of these pages that help you specifically with LinkedIn questions. And there are also forums, like I mentioned, that you can go to. And these people are complete 100% experts in LinkedIn, and they can also help you. Okay, so I'm going to switch back to my LinkedIn page here. And this is typically what most members would see about me. And I just wanted to let you know that when you go, this is the home page. We're right here. So it's going to refresh for you. But in order for me to see my profile, I can do one of two things. I can go here and I can say View Profile. Or I could have simply, if I'd gone back, double-clicked on my image, and that brings me to the exact same place with a message. So if I go back, so I'm now in my profile, and do you see these pencils here? The pencils are so that you can edit any of the different sections on LinkedIn. And there are a number of different sections. This is basically an introduction to who you are, where you work for, what your education, where you're located, that type of thing. And that's my personal dashboard. These are the people who viewed my profile. I have had no article views because I have not published something to LinkedIn, but that is one of my goals for this year. And I've been searched about 27 times. And then just to let you know, this is the education section, and then there's activities. So I can go back and I can see all of my activities. And these are all the different postings that I've done over a number of, I believe, months. I think the scroll is basically almost endless because that's what LinkedIn does, and that's what they seem to capture. And then I can go back and view my full profile again. And as we scroll down, you'll see my volunteer experience, so some of the things that I like to do to help out my community. Skills and endorsements is an interesting section. And what that does is it really shows the different things that you can bring to the table. But the problem with the skills and endorsements section sometimes is that it's kind of become a bit of a joke. And I'll show you a bit of a slide on that a bit later. So what you can also see, if I scroll back up, is that I am considered a LinkedIn All-Star. And you can see that right here. And all that means is that my profile's up to date and it's fairly comprehensive. So I haven't left a lot of things blank. You'll see where, you know, where I worked, the number of years, the experience, and all that type of thing. So the more comprehensive, the better, because it shows people that I actually can do what I say I can do when I meet them. Because of this, I tend to show up in a lot of searches because of my highly visible profile. And this really should be your end goal, showing up in searches for your specific industry, asset class, company profiles, as well as your experience, tenures in industrial sales, etc. So again, I wanted to touch base on the skills and endorsements. So we're going to go back to the slide. Excuse me while I... So some of the skills and experience, there's a bit of a joke on the internet. And as you can see, that, you know, some are like extra long lunch breaks, all that type of thing. And we really don't want that to be what people see and think of you. So some of the flags that people can post on LinkedIn maybe border on the ridiculous. It's very easy to vet your skills and experience, even though you've had no control on who's assigned you what skill. So you can simply, it's changing on me. So you can simply click on the edit symbol and you can delete any of the ones that make you feel just a tiny bit uncomfortable. Keeping a tight rein on this section will make sure you keep your credibility and integrity intact. It's like cleaning out your closet. Be ruthless. So we're going to get back out of here and we'll go back to my LinkedIn homepage. And so I just wanted to show you just how easy it is. So you can just take this pencil icon, click on it, and you can see that you can get rid of it. And you can also see when you toggle over and I'll show you some more skills here, you can also see who has actually been kind enough to provide you with skills and endorsements. And so one of the nicest things is when somebody gives you a nod for your skills and endorsements, you return the favor. That's the social aspect of LinkedIn. Okay, so so you can also ask all of your friends, clients, and coworkers for endorsements. I work for Jim Brown, our Managing Director of Royal LePage Commercial. So I'm going to search Jim, and I'm going to ask him for a recommendation. And here he is. Now, most recommendations, the only people that you can ask for recommendations directly through LinkedIn is if you have a first relationship with them. So that's just Jim and myself. That's not Jim, myself, and Mike Robel. It's just Jim and myself. So I click the icon, and in the More section, I can ask him for a recommendation, request a recommendation. And up pops a screen and it talks about, how do you know Jim? Well, I know Jim. He's managed me directly. And I'm going to select my position as the current one that I have, Royal LePage Commercial. Next, hey Jim, can you write me a recommendation? And then I can send that to him. So when Jim receives this request, he can do a number of things. He can decline it, he can write it, or he can do nothing with the request. It's entirely up to him. If he does write one and I see that it needs some revision, let's say that, he just mistook, like a location or something on the recommendation, I can send it back to him and ask him for revisions. So I'm just going to pop out there, and I'm not going to bother Jim with this request. And here that you can see that there's some endorsements. So Jennifer, you're skilled in commercial real estate. Do you want to endorse Jim for commercial real estate? Sure, why not? Why not do him a favor? Thanks for helping Jim out. Your endorsement helps them show their strengths. So I'm just going to go back to my home page, and now I'm going to go back to the presentation, and we are going to talk about posting. So posting is one of the things that makes LinkedIn social. And you can post virtually almost anything. You can post industry articles, you can post listings, you can post your successes, you can post a case study, you can post some research that you've happened to come upon. Now, if I go back so I just wanted to let you know that as well, that when you post on LinkedIn, you also have the option of sending your post to your Twitter account. And that makes it super easy. It's like hitting the easy button. Posting's easy. You can kill two birds, tweet with one stone. So I'm just going to come out of here again, going to go back to my home page, and we can talk about posting. So if you look down here, so you can see that Sue DeChesney has a listing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share that. And when I share that, what happens is it will go to everybody in my feed, and then anybody in my feed who shares it, it goes to their feed, and so on and so on and so on. So a post can really build momentum. So here I might say hashtag CRE, commercial real estate, and then office, hashtag office, so that people know it's commercial real estate, it's office. And the hashtags aren't going to necessarily help you on LinkedIn. What they're going to do is they're going to get you noticed on Twitter. And if people are looking for those specific hashtags, they're going to start to follow you if they're interested in office. If they're interested in industrial, it's simple, hashtag industrial. I'm sure I don't need to beat that subject to death. So high quality, easy to access office spaces. And it's always good to make sure that you get your spelling right. And then what you can do is you go down a little bit further. I just have to hide this guy. And see where it says post settings? You just click on this and it goes to public and Twitter. And that's my personal account. And just to let you know that I've built up a bit of a following using this without doing anything to my Twitter page. It just posts onto Twitter, and sometimes it gets you followers, sometimes it doesn't. But you can see that the post was successful right there in the pop-up message in the very left-hand side of your screen. So I can also share an article and from the Globe and Mail, from anywhere. Another thing that I like to do is I like to find a different, Avison Young has put out a number of reports, and again, I'm going to share those because I want my people in Quebec to see that, or a membership in Quebec, and I also want to make sure that Quebec feels like they're included and that they have access to great research information as well. And so here I'll just say CRE via, and then I'll say Avison Young. And when I post it, it's going to go again to Twitter. And because I don't know what this is doing there, it's just refreshing the screen, and you can see there that I have had a successful post. And now people in Quebec, I hope, will take the post, they'll share it with somebody else will share it, so on and so on and so on for that post to build momentum. So I just wanted to let you know as well that there's a number of stats on Twitter as well. So we're going to go back to the slide, and we're going to. There are 330 million active monthly users. There's 500 million tweets per day. There's 100 million active daily users. And again, it's 24% male, 21% female. So again, like an equal opportunity platform. And you can see the different age ranges. There's nothing, unfortunately, over the age of 49. I think that's a little bit ageism, but we have no control over that. So just before I let you go on this beautiful day, just wanted to let you know that it's easy to set up your Twitter account on LinkedIn. Back to my page. And again, you do that through the account setting. And you're going to go to Settings and Privacy. And as you scroll down, you'll see the Twitter settings. And that's where you can remove, add, all of that type of thing. So if you have a number of Twitter accounts, you can add them all in. And it's just, like I said, hitting the easy button. You kill two birds with one stone. Okay, so I'd like to thank everybody for joining us on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon to learn more about LinkedIn. And before we have any questions, I'd like to make a special shout out of thanks to Mike Robel of Royal LePage Learning Services for his invaluable, enthusiastic help and advice in setting up this webinar.
It's my pleasure, Jennifer. Thanks.
Thank you.
So I'm going to open it up for questions that I have coming in. So there's a couple. One of the ones that I think is interesting is, how can you hit builder developers in an area? So this is coming from Giulio Mercado, who I believe you are familiar with, if I'm not mistaken. Jennifer?
Yep. Hi, Julia.
Julio.
Julio.
And let me just see here. So, I mean, when you're trying to connect with, the builders in an area and all that, I mean, how can you get them?
Okay, so we touched briefly on LinkedIn Premium. And LinkedIn Premium, like I said, has the filters and the criteria. So you can do a very narrow search. You can do a very broad search. That is probably one of your best avenues, because here, you can look for people. You can try and do something like builders in the search widget, and it just it gives you all builders. So instead of builders within the real estate industry or within the development community or within Toronto or Niagara Falls or wherever, Julio, you're located and trying to mine the data, that premium will probably allow you to do that. And because the premium is free, I think for a month, it's really worth checking out and then seeing whether that's something that you would be willing to pay for on a go-forward basis.
And that's one of the questions that I had in terms of that, because I know LinkedIn has had its premium accounts, and I was looking up actually, like, what the costs are. They seem to range from about $30. I'm guessing that's US to even over 120 if you're a recruiter, which, I mean, I'm imagining not a lot of our agents would be. But I mean, what you're really saying is most likely, if you're a commercial real estate practitioner, then you're probably looking at that premium LinkedIn if you really want to use it seriously.
If you really want to narrow down and define your searches. I mean, for most people, the LinkedIn free version works perfectly well. But I do believe that they have like a sales or a B2B account, that's really where you may want to go to access those searches. And like I said, try it for a month. And if it doesn't work for you, you just let LinkedIn know that you're not willing to go any further with it. And they'll make sure that you don't get billed.
Nice. And then one question that I had related to something that you were doing in LinkedIn, but he was saying, when you post, are you not introducing a new person to a competitor for you? And that's coming from Gil, Delginder Gill from LePage Vision. So, I mean, that's a question that I've gotten. I'll tell you honestly, since we started training on social media back in 2009 with Learning Services, and one of the questions I get all of the time is, should I accept a request from a competitor? What if another realtor tries to connect with me on LinkedIn? So a little bit of an answer to his question. I'm kind of curious in terms of your next step of, like, should we be connecting with these people? What are your thoughts?
Some people I know have no wish to connect with anybody. There's other people I know who have no wish to connect with Royal LePage agents because they're a Royal LePage agent. There's others who have no wish to connect with, a Remax agent or a Collier's agent or anybody. So I think it really is a preferable it's a preference and your choice. I do believe that if you find that your connections are getting so unwieldy, there is a way to drop people without them knowing. So it's not like you're bad friending them or unfriending them on Facebook. This person just quietly goes away. And because people tend to have a fairly large connection, group of people in their network, it's not like they're missing you. And they might notice like 6 months later, like, I don't see what Mike Robel is up to. And maybe they're like, oh, well, that's good. Bye, Mike. I mean, who knows, right? Who knows?
And then in terms of sorry, one question that I'm getting here is, do you use LinkedIn to advertise yourself or to really access contacts? And that's coming from Jeffrey Aguiar with Royal LePage Terre Equity here in Mississauga.
I think that you can use LinkedIn for all of your business interactions. So if you have a listing, I see no problem with posting LinkedIn. You can actually link it to your brochure. You can also just, like for sale, 20,000 square foot industrial in Toronto, and just, for more information and leave a contact number. There's all kinds of ways, as long as you're not constantly hitting LinkedIn. If you're posting on a daily basis or every couple of days or things like that, I don't see anything wrong with that. I think at first it was kind of frowned upon, but actually it's B2B, it's business to business. So why would you not use that? Why would you not use that opportunity? And again, you do it with good taste, you do it with respect, and you do it with dignity and honor. And you can't go wrong if you do that.
So in terms of that, and that's the question that I've had. Now, I'll tell you myself, it's been a long time since I'm not a LinkedIn kind of person. That's not my forte.
I'm losing Mike.
Are you losing me, or you're losing me personally?
So you're back. You're
okay.
back.
I was saying I'm not a really big LinkedIn user. I've never really been a big LinkedIn user. People who search me on LinkedIn, you'll see, I'm more on the other ones. But if I'm getting started with LinkedIn, or maybe I feel like I'm kind of stagnating with my group of people. Are there any groups? Is there stuff that I should be joining to help get myself out there? Is there anything that you'd recommend in terms of groups that I should be looking at?
Yeah, so you can always look for groups within Royal LePage. You can always look for groups who are CCIM, which is a designation for commercial real estate. You can look for groups within SIOR. I'm not sure if you have to actually be members. What you usually do is you petition to join a group. So you say, hey, head of the group, I'm Mike Robel and I'm really interested in joining your group because of whatever reason. And it's up to them to let you into that group. But joining a group is a good way to get to know other professionals within your community. It's a great way to connect. It's a great way to see what's happening. It's a great way to find out about conferences or real estate forums that you might not have missed because they're not that widely known. I know that Build Toronto is a great group, and they have a number of social get-togethers a number of times a year. They're always interested. They're always focused on architectural. And people I know who go to those things love it. So the best thing to do, get a good profile, build it up, worry about your connections later because they will come. Invite the people who really mean the most to you at this time, and then, other invitations will come. And again, don't feel that you have to accept every invitation. And one of the reasons why is when you go to your feed, like you're seeing now, you're going to get from Jessie J. Fregali. I'm sorry, Jessie, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name well or not, but you're getting stuff from everybody that you've sort of let into your network, and others that are sort of LinkedIn sponsored. So you may not want that much clutter, and you may not want to let your competition know what's going on by the feeds that you put into LinkedIn. So I think it's a very fine line that you have to walk. It's based on preference. It's based on what works for you, and it's based on how professional you want to seem, and to put your face out there. So I would say at first, be a little stingy. Why not? Then if you think that you want more people, because you're in LinkedIn, you're getting to know it, you're doing some posting, you're doing some favors by doing postings for other people, that type of thing, then I think you can judge how far you want to take it.
And would you mind showing, like, where do I find? Because one other thing is there's the companies, there's the groups. So if I wanted to join, you had mentioned Build Toronto, I think it was.
So that's Build Toronto.
Yeah.
And that's BILD. Whoops. I had builders in there and I didn't get rid of it. BILD. So if we go here, so that will give you people who are in the Build Toronto group.
Okay.
So, and there's nothing wrong with saying, sending a message to them, connecting, that type of thing. And when you connect, so you're going to sort of see, that's exactly the point I wanted to make. LinkedIn members are more likely to accept invitations that include a personal note. So I think always add a note. Say, hi, I'm Mike Robel from Learning Services, and Jennifer Woodjack told me that you had a great group of people within Build Toronto, and I just wanted to know a little bit more about it. And how likely is somebody to say, well, I'm not interested in replying to Mike Robel? You've given them a reason, you've told them who you are, you told them a little bit about yourself and why you would like to hear more about the group. So unless that person was extremely stingy, I can't imagine. So that's probably a really good way of building some solid connections.
Nice. And then Jeffrey Aguiar again is just saying, so it's really more of a platform between business to business. And I think that goes back a lot to kind of the history you gave of LinkedIn near the start.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Jeffrey Aguiar was saying, so it's more of a platform between business to business.
It really is.
Yeah. And like you kind of mentioned at the start, LinkedIn years ago was just a place where you need your resume up on LinkedIn. But it's evolved into a real
you need your resume
social.
up on LinkedIn or you weren't relevant. It's like you're in business today, but you don't have a website. Where are you? How do people locate you?
Yeah. And I think also, again, the LinkedIn has evolved to become much more social than it used to be.
Sorry, Mike, for whatever reason I lost that.
I don't know. Is it my headset? What am I doing? I'm going to trust that people out there heard me. So I was just making an add-on point. So I'm going to look and see if there's other questions. Can you still hear me right now, Jennifer?
I certainly can.
So I have one last question for you, if unless there's no other ones. But one of the if I was a residential and commercial agent, um, you know, I see a lot of residential agents who like to be a little more personal when they talk about things, and like, oh, I like skiing, and enjoy spending time at the
Oh dear.
cottage. They want to make themselves like a little bit more of like a person, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I'm on the commercial side, I mean, just looking at, for instance, every single person in our comments on the webinar, their their profile picture is a business picture. You can see suits, ties. So if I was a residential and commercial, or resimercial is my understanding of the term, where do I draw that line between the, like, I want to make a personal, but I also want to be professional? What are your thoughts around that?
That's an interesting question. Um, I think that maybe what you can do is definitely promote the Royal LePage Shelter um, Foundation. I think that the problem is that if you're in residential and commercial, you kind of have to pick one that's more important to you, I would say, and play to those strengths. If you do deals or transactions of any kind, post both. Like post both successes. You sold a house for $2.5 million. You sold an industrial condo unit for $2.5 million. I mean, it's almost like there's some sort of equalizer now within the real estate market with residential versus commercial. When you were talking to me about myself in the intro, and you mentioned that I had raised over $20 million for Coca-Cola beverages, and 28 million in savings on taxes. That doesn't sound like much anymore. This is back in the 1990s. So commercial real estate and residential real estate has shot up like a crazy weed. So the prices now, compared to back when I was working in the industrial landscape with Coca-Cola beverages, are just completely different. So I really think that now more than ever, commercial and residential are sort of merging. And I think that if you ever access the RealNet reports, RealNet is our commercial real estate industry data platform, you will see that that is what they tend to present every year at their sort of state of the market meeting, that the markets are just so intertwined. So maybe it's good to post all of your successes if that's the position that you're in. And why not? A transaction is a transaction. You had to sweat blood for both.
Nice. So I'm just going to wrap up in terms of, one thing I want to say is, if somebody wants to get some more information on the Royal LePage commercial program, where should they be headed? Where should they be looking?
Okay, so we're just going to go right here. So if you have any questions, please email me. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you're residential, whether you're commercial, whether you're thinking of doing both, whether you're that resi-mercial designation. If you're interested in finding out more, if you need to chat about LinkedIn or any of the things that we have on our commercial platform, just drop me a line and we'll get back to you, either Jim, the managing director, or myself. And we're always happy to hear from anybody who has an interest in real estate, period.
Nice. And I'll wrap this up in terms of saying, just reminding everybody on the webinar that we actually have an indexed webinar library. So you'll find that in the RLP Network under rlpnetwork.com. Under training, webinar training, you'll see the sales success webinars there. And you can actually get fully indexed if you want to look by topic, presenter, whatever you want. You can check that out. I also invite you to check out royallepage.ca/training, which is our training portal. At the top, you're going to see webinars. So if you don't want to log into anything, you just want to see what the next coming webinars are, you can check this out, royallepage.ca/training/webinars. And with that said, I'm actually going to bring back up Jennifer's email address. I'm going to double check that we have no more questions. So I just want to thank you so much, Jennifer, for your time, your presentation today. Like we had talked, LinkedIn is something that it's been a while for me, and I was very interested to see what you had to say about it. So it was really awesome.
Super. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. And see this word here, questions? I can actually spell. That should be an I in front of that O.
I didn't notice if you hadn't commented.
I know, eh?
So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And like I said, we're going to be setting up the next one with Chris Leader in August. So I hope you'll tune into that. Cheers. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you.